What's going on, everyone? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs, and today we're going to talk about education and design.
Dreadlabs.
Alright, as some of you know, I recently graduated from design school. I studied communications and multimedia design at University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't really have a great time there. A lot of people have been asking me what I have been studying and if you should study to get a job in what I do, which is basically running Dreadlabs next to my freelance gig. And as a freelancer, I mainly do album artworks, graphic design work like logos, and lyric videos / animations. So today I want to give you a small perspective on what my education did for me, what it took out of me, and what you need to do what I do and what you don't need, I guess. So the first thing that I want to tell you is you don't need a degree to be good as a designer. All the things that I learned in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, After Effects, Cinema 4D, whatever, coding even, I learned myself. They don't teach you one small thing there. So my education in the first year offered some tutoring classes in Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but they were really low effort. They're probably the same as if you search on YouTube for the basics of Photoshop or something. And then we had a LinkedIn Learning subscription, which they took away after your first year. So in terms of skills, you need to learn it all yourself, at least in my education. And I recommend you do it this way because this will give you the opportunity to learn what you want to learn. That's the most important thing, because if you do want to be a freelancer, you need to really define what you want to do as a freelancer. And you need to know the things that you want to do as a freelancer, I guess. Then there are a lot of people or studios or from which I heard, I asked them, do you look at a portfolio when people apply to you, or do you look at the degree? And basically the majority of the studios or agencies look at your portfolio instead of your education. So yeah, there's that. Then there's something else. I had a lot of subjects which really involve more about thinking about design instead of doing design. I learned some things from it, but I didn't really learn the things that I wanted, I guess. But that's to me personally. But what I wanted to tell is your grades don't define your skill. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of my fellow students which had much higher grades than me that really that ended up having very different job than what I do, or maybe weren't even able to do freelancing if they wanted to, or maybe even the other way around. There are also people there to which I have higher grades and they are doing a way cooler job than I am doing right now. And also doing a cool job is also subjective. So those people would maybe not even want the job that I wanted to do, and the other way around. But yeah, what I want to say by this is, so if these agencies that you want to apply for look at your portfolio instead of your education, they also won't look at your grades. Okay, so what I want to talk about next is, I guess, upsides and downsides of the school for me. And I'm sorry, but this is going to turn into a little bit of a personal rant, because I really had a lot of personal frustrations with the education that I went to. So the first thing is the cost. For example, I have been paying over 2,000 euros a year to enroll in the school, and I feel like I never really got the full amount that I've paid out of it, I guess. Especially during COVID, I guess it still needed to pay your school tuition to keep the school from running, but a lot of the parts of the tuition they said to us is to, for example, keep the building clean, pay for the cafeteria, do all of these things to keep the school running outside of paying the teachers. And that's obviously more than fine, but I haven't used anything on school property for over a year now, and I've still been paying the full amount for it, which is stupid. And they basically proved to me that you don't need to pay this high tuition to get a degree. The next thing is I have been in a personal argument with a teacher, and he basically told me, you can't make a lot of money when you just become a graphic designer. And I beg to differ, because I'm doing that right now, I guess. I'm not saying that I'm really rich or something, but I am actually able to make a living out of being a graphic designer. What I really learned from that is, at least in my education, I feel like there is a lot of teachers there, not all of them, quite a lot that aren't really experienced in the actual field. Like they do know a lot about design and I learned a lot from them, but I have the feeling that they have no idea what they're talking about in terms of how it works in real life, in the field. And what I mean by that is like they're so on about your process, you know, like I could make the best design ever with a great concept behind it, and they could say like you didn't really show your process, which makes this whole design invalid. And what I learned during internships and working in real life is that a lot of clients don't really care about that. They just want the end result, which is what they're paying for in the end, you know? And to other designers, it's really cool to show your process. And that's something that I'm doing now on YouTube a lot, you know? Clients aren't mainly interested in that, at least in my experience. Now that that's out of the way, there are also obviously some upsides of going to design school. And the main one is they teach you the fundamentals of design. And this is something that is hard to come by if you only learn yourself through YouTube videos. And this is something that I haven't really talked about in my videos as well. Because in my videos, I teach you how to do certain effects in Photoshop or how to do certain shapes in Illustrator. But I don't teach you the fundamentals of design. And that's something that I kind of learned in school. And that's what you probably learn in school really easy. And what I mean by that is visual hierarchy, going through the process of, for example, web design, or UX design, you know, and that's stuff that you have to look for yourself if you want to get into that. And that's something that I didn't really find myself on YouTube, and I wasn't really interested in it, even though I kind of needed to learn it. So yeah, thanks to my school for teaching me that. They also teach you like why you should design certain parts or what you should design. That's something that I really liked. For example, we talk more about like designing an experience, or we talked about how to combine coding with design, or how to combine prototypes and how to create prototypes to simulate like a certain experiences. And that's something that I feel like you only learn in like design schools or like communication schools, I guess. Which I guess also brings me to my next point, is communication. Like the communication between teachers and students there wasn't really good, but they taught you about how to communicate as a brand, or how to communicate a certain ad campaign and which media you should use. Should you do videos on social media? Should you design something for the physical space, you know? So yeah, that's what I really liked about my education, is the variety of things you could do. I did like motion design, graphic design, web design, coding, experience design, physical design. I learned a little bit of physical computing with Arduinos, you know. There was a lot of variety in there, but the downside of that is I wasn't really able to dive into something myself. And when I wanted to dive into graphic design, because I wanted to be a graphic designer, they kind of like look down on you because they feel like graphic designer is like a lower end job, even though there are like jobs like art directors who will make like a lot of money, you know. But yeah, I guess that's it. Rant over. So in the end, there are a lot of things you can teach yourself. Portfolios matter more than degrees in terms of design. Like in any other job, I would beg to differ if that's the case. And I feel like the fundamentals of doing something, that's something you will learn in school instead of like learning on a YouTube video. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, or you can join us on Discord. And I want to take this time to thank my patrons for sponsoring this video, I guess. Because of my patrons, I'm able to do more videos for you guys, more social media content, and more products. So if you don't know, if you become a patron, you will get access to all of my project files for all my tutorials. You'll get a 15% discount in the Dreadlabs web store, as well as a cool Discord role. So yeah, shout out to my patrons, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.